Welcome to a new episode of the 90s Metal Gamer, where we stay hydrated and play video games. Ace Combat 7 was something that was completely new to me. I have never really played anything like a flight simulator, if that's what you want to call this, and I have to admit, it was really fun. I enjoyed it. According to Bandai Namco, the genre of this game is considered to be a flight simulation. And that's from the official Bandai Namco website, which is the developer of this game. But I'm going to go ahead and say that might be a bit of a stretch and say that might be the closest thing they can get it into. Because there's just no way you can fit 1,000 missiles in a combat airplane. No, you can't do that. But I digress. We're going to talk more about that later. This video is a casual review of Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. And since this is a casual review, I must iterate that I did not complete this game to 100%, and I played it on the easiest difficulty. Why? Because I can. That's the way I like to enjoy my games. Pretty much stress-free. In all honesty, this video was not supposed to be Ace Combat 7. It was supposed to be The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. I recorded approximately 20 hours of footage for that review video. But up until I got to the part where you have to find the Triforce shards, it no longer entertained me. I felt like it was just too much already to look for. Too much of a scavenger hunt for that matter. So then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna stop right here and play another game. Then I saw Ace Combat 7, which I had bought maybe about a year ago, and I said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna give this one a shot. And I haven't played it up until I started recording content for this video, and I am completely amused by it. Flight simulation games are not really my thing, and the only other flight game that I've played prior to Ace Combat 7 was Aerofighter's Assault on the Nintendo 64. That is a very good game. I had lots of fun playing that one. Now that I put some thought behind it, simulation games in general are not really my thing. I like to live in a world of fantasy, obviously. It's the reason why I play video games in the first place. Over the course of this review, we're going to go over the story, the gameplay, the presentation, and the music. And then I'll wrap it all up with a water score. Because I was inverted.
And then the Lord said,
I want to see your tiny head.
We say
Before I get into this review video, I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Ace Combat series. The very first Ace Combat game that was released in the US was not called Ace Combat. In fact, it was called Air Combat, and it sold quite well with a little over 2 million in sales. 2.2 million if I want to be a little bit more exact. It was exclusive to the PlayStation, and I don't know exactly when it released. I have one website telling me 1995 and another website telling me 1993, so I really don't know. I just know it was exclusive to the PlayStation. The sequel, which is appropriately named Ace Combat 2, was also exclusive to the PlayStation and released in 1997. The sales on that one was not as good as Ace Combat 1, with a little over 1 million. Coming up next is Ace Combat 3, Electrosphere. You guessed it, exclusive to the PlayStation as well, released in Japan in 1999 and in the US in 2000, with a little over 1.1 million in sales. A little bit better than its predecessor. Numbered next one is Ace Combat 4, Shattered Skies. And if you can guess it was exclusive to the PlayStation, you're wrong. It was exclusive to the PlayStation 2 to be more exact, released in 2001, and sales were just a little over 2 million. 2.6. Actually, almost 3 million. Not bad. Following Ace Combat 4 would be, you guessed it, Ace Combat 5, The Unsung War. Exclusive to the PlayStation 2, released in 2004, sales were 1.8 million. Not as much as its predecessor, but still, it's over a million, so I'd say that's pretty good. If you were to assume that the next one would be Ace Combat 6, you're wrong. It's actually Ace Combat Zero, The Belkan War, and also exclusive to the PlayStation 2, releasing in 2006. Sales were not that great, 792,000. Now we get to Ace Combat 6, Fires of Liberation, and if you were to assume it was exclusive to the PlayStation 2, well, you're wrong. It was exclusive to the Xbox 360, surprise surprise. Releasing in 2007, sales were at an all-time low for this one, 700,000. Not a great number if you ask me. The last game we're going to talk about is none other than Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. Released in 2019 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And as of July 11, 2024, it was released on the Switch. Sales were at $4 million. That is a lot higher than any other previous titles. And I'm quite certain that number has gone up since then because of its release on the Switch. All the games that I previously mentioned are part of the main series of Ace Combat. There are plenty other games that were released on other platforms as well, such as the GBA, the PSP, iOS, even the Nintendo 3DS. We're not going to talk about that because according to this website, it's not considered part of the main series. I don't know how accurate this is. I'll link it in the description below. It is the Ace Combat fandom page. So if the information is incorrect, I'm sorry. It's from a fandom page. And that about sums up the history of Ace Combat. For now, we're going to go ahead and get into the story. You all should know how I like to do things on this channel. I suck at storytelling, so I'm going to let the game tell a story for me. Enjoy.
A hell of a lot. When I close my eyes, the sky in my dreams is a deep, dark blue. Pilots have been in my family for 4 generations. Flying's in my DNA. Even so, my grandpa didn't want me joining the Air Force. He lost faith in the Ocean Air Defense the day my dad died in battle.
You know, Abby, I wish you could see what it's like up there. Cruising above the clouds, the dark blue of the stratosphere. Nothing beats being at the controls and seeing it from the cockpit. Look here.
Gramps tossed a magazine over to me with an article. Unmanned fighters are no longer a dream, it read. Pilots taking to the skies will soon be a distant memory.
I don't see anything good coming from that.
Know what? Lying smack dab in the middle of the desert west of here, there's a bunch of planes from the last war. Some of them have been mothballed, but most of them are just rusted piles of junk waiting to be scrapped. Gramps was really good friends with the super there, so he got to take whatever he wanted, no questions asked. That's how we got the parts to build our own plane. Now, when I say we, I mean me, my grandpa, and his old war buddies. I cut my teeth working with those geezers. They taught me their skills and some dirty jokes. But with their aging eyeballs and whatnot, I ended up having to do most of the work myself. I was at the airstrip doing some flight training when I saw it. A prototype drone. It wasn't much of a plane, more of a trash can with wings.
Laugh at it all you want, kid. But technology's always changing. If you don't keep up with it, it'll leave your ass behind.
It took 6 years and 8 months to get that engine running. And it took us another 1.5 years after that to finally get the balance of the airframe just right. I'd gone from being a little girl to, well, still a girl, just older. But now, I was all alone. Wherever the souls of my Gramps and his pals are flying, I hope it's peaceful. Then, finally, I was ready to break the sound barrier. All this plane could do was take off, accelerate, and fly up. Straight up, through the clouds, higher into the sky. Dark blue. I could almost touch it. Then I saw Osia's fighters. They were tailing something. A drone. They were going full out chasing that thing. Doing 30 Gs at least. Damn, I've never seen anything move that fast. It had a rose painted on it. The Erusian emblem. But that country's a whole continent away from here.
Crap. You should have put in my event with me, piece of junk. Should have built a return too.
So that is essentially how the game starts. But truth be told, I didn't really care about the story. Quite frankly, I thought the story was lackluster. I'm pretty sure it was interesting in some way, shape, or form, but I just wanted to fly a plane and blow shit up. So, according to a Wikipedia page, here is the story. Ace Combat 7's plot follows the exploits of Trigger, a fighter pilot who is assigned to a penal squadron following an accusation of murder in the midst of a war between the countries of Osia and Erusia. Here's how I understood that. Shoot down the bad guys. And that's exactly what I did during this game. And I thought it was very fun. I didn't really care for the story. The game was still fun regardless whether I paid attention to the story or not. The story segment of this video went on longer than I wanted it to because of that cutscene. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off right here. We're going to go into the gameplay. Before the start of each mission, you'll have a mission brief on the tasks that need to be accomplished. Whether it be defending your position, defending a convoy, trying to take down an enemy, etc., etc. Early on in the game, I made the mistake of not listening to the mission brief, and I ended up destroying a lot of things I was supposed to protect, which resulted in, obviously, a mission failure. So after that, I decided to listen to the mission briefs. It definitely helped me out. Now that I think about it, this game is not unlike the Star Fox series, except it's a little bit more hardcore. After the mission brief, you'll go into your sortie prep, which will allow you to pick your aircraft, your weapons, and upgrade your parts too. Depending on how well you perform in each mission, you'll get some MRP. MRP is the currency used in this game to buy parts for your aircraft, and I thought that was really cool. You can use the aircraft tree to buy these parts. But it's not limited to just aircraft parts. You can actually buy whole aircrafts in this game, and I thought that was fucking awesome. You can also upgrade the range of your weapons. You can upgrade your machine gun to where it automatically shoots without you having to pull the trigger. You can turn your aircraft into the ultimate fighting machine here. You can increase your speed, increase your braking performance, your stability, air-to-air weapons, air-to-ground weapons, and your defense too. Learning the controls for this game was moderately difficult for me because there was no tutorial. Let me rephrase that. There actually was a tutorial, but it was not in depth. so I had to Google to learn how to use the controls, which is not a big deal for me. As far as mastering them, I did not master them because I still got my buttons mixed up, but I still had lots of fun playing this game. Normally, I would let the graphics tell the story for me as far as the presentation segment of these videos, but I want to talk a little bit about it, and I have to say, they are absolutely amazing. This game released in 2019, and it doesn't look like it was released in 2019. It looks like it was released today, actually. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Although there are some segments where you can tell it has aged a little bit, it is still on par with games that are released in today's era. In other cutscenes, you can definitely tell that there's an inspiration of anime behind it. Just look at the character models. It's obviously anime influenced, and that's not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I love it. Overall, I'd have to say the graphics were very beautiful, very colorful, very vibrant, very pleasant to look at. And I even like the anime inspiration behind it. 10 out of 10. I'm going to cut this segment of the video kind of short because I want to keep this video around 20 minutes. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the music.
Strider 1, you have passed through waypoint 1. No weapons until you reach the enemy base. All aircraft, reduce altitude. We have altitude restrictions from here on out. Keep altitude below 600 meters. Good. Maintain your current course.
Caution. Caution. Pull up.
In some areas of the game, the music was, for lack of a better word, generic. I'm not trying to take anything away from this, but it was kind of generic in some spaces. That's not necessarily a bad thing though, because it was still enjoyable.
No, they're not combatants. Some of them aren't even wearing shoes. I can guess what happened here. I really don't want to think about it. Those Russian bastards! It's a blatant war crime! Take photos for evidence. That goes for a feed. 2 tanks left, but they're running on fumes and low on ammo.
In other areas of the game, the music was barely noticeable, and I think they did that on purpose to put more emphasis on the gameplay itself, such as hearing all the beeps and chimes coming from your cockpit, hearing the missile launches, hearing the sound of your weapons. I think they did that intentionally so you can focus on combat.
That thing is too huge! Don't let its sheer size freak you out.
Remember, our target is the arsenal bird.
There were times when the music got very dramatic, and I think it was because they wanted to put emphasis on the severity of the mission that you're on. Overall, I'd have to say the music was okay at best. In my own humble opinion, I would say it was not the greatest, but it wasn't the best either. Nonetheless, it was still an enjoyable experience. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I'm being generous with it, by the way.
Strider 1 has destroyed a sub-propeller.
You can do it! There's no way it isn't damaged!
Games like Ace Combat 7 are not the typical games that I like to play. You may have already known that. I prefer games that tell a really good story. Now, I think Ace Combat 7 had a good story to it, but I really wasn't paying attention to it. My main focus of this game was just to blow shit up and shoot shit down. And it was fun, regardless whether or not I enjoyed the story. I still had a lot of fun, and it kind of opened up my eyes to other games that I should probably play instead of sticking to games that I just know. And if I want to make something of this channel, I have to broaden my horizons a little bit. So I'm going to start venturing out into new material. Now, my library of games is not very large, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot of games, but in comparison to some of the most hardcore gamers, it's merely drops in the bucket. So I'm going to work on that. Overall, I'd have to say I had a lot of fun playing this game, and you probably already know that. The story was there, I just didn't really pay attention to it. The gameplay itself was very, very cool. I like the fact that you could upgrade your plane. The graphics were absolutely beautiful, truly amazing on every single level. As for the music, well, it was there, but truthfully speaking, I don't think the developers put much emphasis into the music as they did the gameplay. And there's nothing wrong with that. The music was there and it was enjoyable, I'll say that. Overall, I will give this game a water score of 4 out of 5 bottles of water. Thank you for watching my video all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it, and I really do mean that. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. I love y'all, stay hydrated, and I'll catch you on my next video.